Going to be talking about theme, and what you're going to be able to do after this lesson is you're going to be able to determine the theme of a short story, and you're going to be able to create a summary on what you read based on that theme. Okay, so while we're working today, I need you listening. Focus is up here, paying attention to my laptop screen and your laptop screen while we're working together, okay? So we're going to talk about theme. So what is theme? Theme is the big idea. It's the main idea. It's the lesson that is learned, okay? So what are some themes that you can think of? What's something you could think of? Just brainstorm in your head. Okay. With that, some examples of theme might be bravery.
Positive attitude.
A positive attitude, thank you. Trying something new. Never giving up. Love, or working hard. Is there anything that maybe you thought of that was different from the list I have?
No.
Okay. And that's okay. There's a lot of different themes. It's kind of hard to think of them off the top of your head. Okay, we're going to move on to the next slide. So today when we're talking about theme, being the overall message that you're taking away from your reading, we're going to start matching themes to a story. Okay? So what we're going to practice, since now we know that theme is the big idea, the lesson you're taking away from the story, we're going to have a list of different movies or stories. There might be songs in here, and there's also going to be a list of different themes, and what we're going to do is match the theme to the story.
Okay.
Okay? So if you're on this slide with me, I think we're on slide 4. We have a list on the left that has different columns. The first one is Beauty and the Beast, the next one is Finding Nemo, the next one is Mulan, the following one is Saving Private Ryan, and the last one is Titanic.
I never saw Saving Private Ryan.
Some of these might be a little too old for you guys, but we'll work through it. And then the different themes we have on the right column consist of bravery. Girls can do the same thing as boys. Never leave your team behind. Don't judge a book by its cover. And the heart wants what it wants. Okay, so how this is going to work is we're going to look at our first one, okay, Beauty and the Beast. I'm going to read through the different categories of theme, and I'm going to decide which of these best matches Beauty and the Beast. Is there bravery in it? There might be, but that's probably not the overall theme. Girls can do the same as boys. While it doesn't really apply to that story. Never leave your team behind. Beauty and the Beast, there's not really a team. Don't judge a book by its cover, that could be. Or the heart wants what it wants, and that could also be it. Can there be more theme, or more than one theme in a story or a movie? Absolutely. But we're looking for which one sticks out the most, okay? So for Beauty and the Beast, I'm gonna say don't judge a book by its cover, since we know that coming into that story, if you do have background in that story, that Belle means
The Beast is scary.
The Beast is kind of scary, yep. But then with time, she develops feelings and trust for him, okay? So she doesn't judge a book by its cover, and then he turns out to be her Prince Charming, right? So we would match those two. So if you want to, on your laptop, draw a line from Beauty and the Beast to Don't Judge a Book by Its Cover, that would be our first one. So together, let's do Finding Nemo, okay? What do you think the theme for Finding Nemo would be? Would it be bravery?
Bravery.
Girls can do the same thing as boys. Never leave your team behind. Don't judge a book by its cover, or the heart wants what it wants.
Bravery.
Bravery. I would agree with that. Okay, so we're going to draw a line from Finding Nemo to bravery. If you'll do that on your slide, please. Okay, the next one we'll do together, and then the last two I'll have you try on your own. The next one is Mulan. Okay, if we think way back to when we were in elementary school watching Mulan, what do you think the theme of that movie would have been?
Girls can do the same thing as boys.
I would agree with that, because, right, that's the whole thing. She's this girl, she joins the military, walks in. Okay, so we're going to draw a line from Mulan to girls can do the same thing as boys, all right? The last two I want you to try on your own. This might be a little bit harder, so I'll give you some background. The movie Saving Private Ryan, that's a war-based movie, okay? And then the Titanic, that's about a ship sinking. There's also a love story in there, okay? So I want you to kind of narrow it down to only having 2 themes left. I want you to try to go through using context clues maybe, and maybe the background I gave you now about the 2 stories, what do you think the theme would be for those? You'll just draw the line on your laptop, mark it in. You good?
I'm good.
All right. Okay. So, shared with you on your Smartboard activity. So if you hit to the next slide on your laptop, we're gonna do the same activity, but we're gonna do it through a Smartboard system. So you're gonna click on this link here. It's gonna take you to my Smartboard account. You're gonna log in as me so that you get the one I created. And I want you to attempt to match the books and the movies or the short stories with the potential themes that are listed, okay? So it's the same thing we just did together and practiced, but you're gonna try it on your own now, okay? So when you log in, it should show you the link to click. The password that I use is right below that, and then you can get started. Talked about theme. We decided that theme is the big lesson, the big picture, the message in the video, or the book, or the movie, or whatever we're talking about, something that you're taking away, okay? So today we're gonna really practice applying that skill on our own. So what we're gonna be doing is taking a bunch of different short stories, and some of them might be a little kiddish, but we're just trying to be able to pull out that message. So we're trying to keep it simple. We're gonna read that short story, and we're gonna use a template to fill out how we're finding the theme, okay? So I'm gonna pass out to you our searching for theme worksheet, okay? And it's a diagram where we're gonna talk about the character setting and problems, and it's gonna break down each part of a story or a movie or a song or whatever we're talking about, and it's gonna help us find our summary. Okay? So, if we really quickly go over this together, really in the top, we're gonna obviously put our name on the top, okay? The book title, we're gonna do a couple different stories today. We're gonna write down the characters of the story, the setting of the story, like where it's taking place, and then maybe the problem that occurs in the story or to the character or whatever. We're gonna write a short summary, maybe 2 sentences, just telling us what the story is about. And then after we get through that, these 2 boxes at the bottom of your worksheet say a lesson learned by the character. So that's the message they're taking away, okay? And the message you took away from the story. So what do you think the theme from the story might be, okay? The only way that this might not work out is if we're reading a story, like our first story is about some wilderness animals, and you tell me that the message you took away was, the story was about going to a grocery store, okay? We wanna keep it as close as we can to what's going on in the story and pull out a theme from that direct story, okay? So if you pop on to slide 1 on your laptop, we're gonna read the first story called Unhelpful Friends. Now remember, I know these are kind of little kid stories, but we're taking away the theme from it. We're trying to keep it simple, okay? So I'm gonna read this first story to you. We're gonna go through the worksheet together. I'm gonna have you fill it out the best we can together, okay? So Unhelpful Friends. Bunny Rabbit lived in the forest. He had many friends, and he was proud of his friends. One day Bunny Rabbit heard One day Bunny Rabbit heard the loud barking of wild dogs. He was very scared. He decided to ask for help. He quickly went to his deer friend. He said, "Dear friends, some wild dogs are chasing me. Can you chase them away with your sharp antlers?" The deer said, "That is right, I can, but I'm busy right now. Why don't you ask Bear for help?" Bunny Rabbit ran to Bear. "My dear friend, you are very strong. Please help me. Some wild dogs are after me. Please chase them away." He requested the bear help. The bear replied, "I'm sorry, I am hungry and tired. I need to find some food. Please ask Monkey for help." Poor Bunny went to Monkey and Elephant and Goat and all his other friends. Bunny felt sad that nobody was ready to help him. He understood that he had to think about a way to help himself. He hid under a bush. He lay very still. The wild dogs did not find Bunny. They went chasing other animals. Bunny Rabbit learned that he had to learn to survive by himself and not depend on any unhelpful friends. Okay?
Miss Lumen, that bunny is so cute.
I'm so glad you think that. It was kind of a weird animated picture, but I'm glad you think it's cute. Okay, so if we look at our worksheet, the one that's in front of you, okay, we are going to look at the book title. So if we go back, we'd write Unhelpful Friends. So I'm going to grab a whiteboard. Okay. So if you want to do this on me or with me on your first worksheet, so we can do a practice run. Okay, so book title. Okay, that's up at the top. We're going to write Unhelpful Friends. Okay, that would go up at the top. Okay, the next one says the characters. So who are our characters?
Bunny rabbit.
We had one, Bunny Rabbit. There were a few others they listed. Who were like the two first characters he talked to? He talked to
The deer.
the deer. And we'll just do one more, and bear. Okay. So we wrote those down. Where was the setting? They didn't directly say where they were, but if
They live
we,
in a forest.
the context clues would say probably a forest. Good thinking.
But monkeys don't live in a forest.
That one was a little different, yeah. That is true.
They live
Monkeys
in the
don't.
jungle.
Okay, and what do we think the problem was? We know that Bunny obviously was kind of stressed out. Something was after him, these wild dogs.
Wanted to eat him.
Yeah. So, our problem would be he was scared, right? For his safety. Okay. So if I'm going to write a summary about the story, something I might say so our main character was the bunny, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Bunny was in the forest. He was being chased. And he was very scared. Okay, so that's kind of the overall idea of what had happened in the story that we read. Okay, a lesson learned by the character. So we know our character had gone to all his friends seeking help because he's getting chased by these dogs and he's scared, right? And every time he goes to one of his friends, they're saying, no, I can't help you. I have this to do. I have that to do. So eventually Bunny decided, well, I'm just going to have to take care of myself. And he hid, and then the wild dogs went past him. So a lesson learned by the character is maybe you don't depend on people that aren't willing to help, right? Or you become responsible for yourself. Okay, so that's what I would write down for the lesson learned for my character in that first box. For the second box, the message you can take away from the story is maybe I would say, my own words, Bunny had to be more independent, or he had to face his fears, okay? So that's really all we're gonna do for the template, okay? The next story we're gonna do together is The Ant and the Grasshopper, all right? So I'm gonna read this to you, and then we're going to fill out the graphic organizer together. The last part of our lesson today, you're going to read your own story and fill it out on your own, okay? So our next story is The Ant and the Grasshopper. If you'll flip to a new graphic organizer so we can start fresh, that would be wonderful. And if you are following along on your laptop, we are on slide number 4, okay? And our story is The Ant and the Grasshopper. So eyes are on the story. Ant and the Grasshopper. One summer's day in a field, a grasshopper was hopping about, chirping and singing to its heart's content. An ant passed by, bearing along great effort an ear of corn he was taking to his nest. Why don't you come with and chat with me, said the grasshopper, instead of tolling your life away. I'm helping to store up food for the winter, said Ant, and I recommend you do the same. Why bother about winter, said the grasshopper. We've got plenty of food at the present. But the ant went on its way and continued its toil. When winter came, the grasshopper found itself dying of hunger, while it saw the ant not disturbed every single day corn and grain from the stores he had collected over the summer. Okay? So, we're looking at the first part of our graphic organizer, and what was the title of the story?
The Ant and the Grasshopper.
The Ant and the Grasshopper. So go ahead and fill that into your graphic organizer. Okay, and we only had 2 characters in this story. Who were the 2 characters?
Isn't that the title, though?
Nope, we're on this second box. So we're looking at characters. Who was in the story?
An ant and a grasshopper.
Yep, ant and grasshopper. Okay, they don't have names, so we're just going to write that in. Ant and grasshopper.
But
This
it's the
one-
same as the title.
Yep, it is. That is true. You're right. Okay, so now setting might be a little more tricky. Where do you think this was? Do you think it was inside a house?
Outside.
Probably outside. Yep, you're right. Maybe outside, nature, something along those lines we could write down. And what was the problem?
Grasshopper was hungry.
Okay, so not at first, right? He was
Oh.
kind of doing his own thing. But then towards the end of the story, that was the big problem. He was out
He didn't
cold.
have food.
Right. Okay, so I want you to write down your summary of what the story was. It was a really short story, so just give me 2 sentences on maybe what it was about. Write that down in the summary portion. Give me a thumbs up when you got it. Okay. So we look at those bottom 2 boxes now. The first box says a lesson learned by a character. So what was the lesson that was learned? What can you think about? Brainstorm for a little bit. Think, what was the lesson learned by the character? You could do it from either perspective. What was the lesson learned by the ant? What was the lesson learned by the grasshopper? When you have an idea, I want you to write that down. Good. Okay. What was the message that you could take away from this story? What do you think? If you're reading this story, what was like the message you're taking away from it? If I was going to take something away from it, it would maybe be to stay prepared, right? That ant worked really hard so that he knew when winter was going to come, it was going to be a tough time, he'd be ready. Maybe it's not slacking off, like the grasshopper didn't have a care in the world. What do you think the message was?
Don't slack off.
Don't slack off. That would be a good one. Why don't you write that down? Nice job. Okay, so I want you to flip over to your last graphic organizer, searching for a theme. Okay. And what I'm going to pass out to you is your last story. I want you to read the short story to yourself, okay? After reading the story 2 times, because it's very short and I want you to go through it twice. You're going to fill out the searching for a theme worksheet just like we did together these last 2 times. Tell me the character or characters, the setting, the problem, right? The short summary, the 1 to 2 sentences, very, very small. And then tell me the 2 messages, the one that you're seeing, the lesson that was learned, and then what you are taking away from the story, okay? Okay. How many times are you going to be reading the story?
Twice.
Twice. Awesome. Taking away from the story, right? Okay. Can there be more than one theme in a story?
Yes.
Can you have more than one message? Yes, you can. A lot of times there's usually just one big message or one big idea that we're taking away from it. A lot of times when I ask you to pull out the theme, I'm only going to be asking for one idea, but there could be multiple. Is a theme ever really wrong? Can you make it wrong? Yes. If you pull an idea that's crazy out of nowhere, but pulling a theme out can be pretty broad, okay? There's a lot of different ideas that you could take away from different messages. Okay, so I'm gonna look over the graphic organizer that we worked on. I'm hoping that we were able to determine the theme from our short stories and from a text and provide that short little summary, and being able to pull out what the theme actually was from our short story readings. I'm gonna go through them, see how we did. I'm gonna hand them back to you tomorrow. We'll go through them, look at them, just see how everything went. And then from there, we're gonna go into some more stories about different themes. We're gonna work into a poetry unit and start working about theme and figurative language in poetry, okay? So if you could log down on your laptops, please. Leave your papers on top of your laptop. Make sure your name is on it. And we will see you tomorrow.